Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a kind of like a tier list here for raid recruits. I wanted to do raid recruits that were more recent. And when I say recent, I mean units from around the Halloween Ace batch. And kind of up to today's current release with the, well, versus Big Mom and Kaido and around that time frame. Basically everything before the drop of V2 Kaido and V3 Zoro. Though I'm not entirely sure if we're getting them at the end of the month or if we're getting something like completely new, completely different. Maybe like a Korean, maybe getting the Korean anniversary. I have no idea yet. We haven't had anything data mined, but we probably will around the 25th, so kind of keep your eyes open for that date. But without further ado, let's kind of go through the list here. We have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and kind of the extremely niche, unlikely to use tier, which is kind of for certain units. You know, I mean, they'll be in your box, and when you can use them, they'll be really good. But for like regular content outside of that, they're going to be kind of just collecting dust. And I do have a few older units that I wanted to put on here simply because they're kind of like my older but highly recommended units. You know, like if you see these guys in your box, try to use them when you can. They do so much. They have a lot of utility. They're very powerful, and they can go on, you know, all kinds of different teams, right? I think I chose 9 of them outside of the recent batches. So anyways, let's start here with Nami. Nami is so this is time skip Nami from year 2 anniversary. She's still really good. Has delay, special bind, reduction, as well as paralysis. Like, when you had her, you were getting... This was like an auto-win for Shank's Invasion back in the day. But if I were to rate her now... Oh... She's still really good, but like that delay isn't as powerful as it used to be. We'll keep her in mid-tier right now. But don't get me wrong, she's still super good. We have Valentine Shirahoshi. She's very good. Getting rid of Special Bind, Paralysis, and Attack Down, I believe it was. Giving you a little bit of a heal, and then I think she gives the top 2 orbs. Your captain's matching orbs. It has been a little bit since I've used her, but, you know, if I ever am running, like, heavy dex content or I need a cerebral, like, special bind reducer, she's very good. Definitely deserving of the A tier. Bobbins, S tier. This guy just does so much. He gets rid of 5 turns of the 3 defensive effects enemy's going to have, being damage reduction, threshold reduction, and defense up. And then 5 turns of attack down. And then he gives you a little bit of orb manipulation. So this guy just does so much for 1 unit. So, love this guy. Bring him whenever I can. Onto any Free Spirit or Slasher teams. Or any Rainbow teams, like Luffy Sanji, for example. Unfortunately, Big Mom and Kaido don't support him since he's the one color that got shafted with them. But he'll be seeing more play once we get more units coming out. So, Pudding's the older one. She's very good. Definitely A tier for sure. I cannot speak today, guys. 4 turns of Bind, Despair, and Paralysis. Gives you Orb Manipulation, depending on what her slot is at the time. As she will give that to all your other characters. So if she has Quick, your entire board becomes Quick. And then she has Damage Reduction. Very, very nice. I personally am a big fan of her. I might be a tiny bit biased because of my love for Pudding, but besides that, I know she's an excellent unit. Very good for all-round content. Gets rid of a lot of very relevant debuffs. And, you know, reducing damage is never a bad thing. Smoothie, this is considering she has double special activation. She's pretty good. Covers a lot of different debuffs. Gives you a heal. Gives you orb manipulation. It can do it twice. And I believe you can swap the orbs as well. So, she's very good. She's definitely deserving of the A tier, in my opinion. Mont Dora. This guy is a monster. He's definitely, especially since Driven is getting a boost soon. He does a lot. You're right, he gets rid of defense up, damage reduction. He gets rid of special bind and burn. And on top of that, what I really like about him is that he gives you an offensive ability, giving you an affinity color bonus of 1.75 to strength and psi for 2 turns. So he gets rid of debuffs and he actually powers up your attacks. Units like that are almost guaranteed to be an S tier for sure. Love this guy. going to be seeing a lot more play soon. So if you have him, try, limit break max him, do what you can with him. He's going to be very useful in the future. Kaku, an older one, but very good. Definitely A tier easily, gets rid of paralysis, attack down, and bind by 5 turns, being, 3 very common abilities that your enemy will inflict upon you, so he's generally good for all-around content. You can also stick Whitey Bay on him, since he's a slasher, and you'll get rid of not only 2 more turns of bind, but 2 turns of despair as well, if you need it for any reason. Bond, Klein Ivankov, these guys, I want to, they're used a lot in, like, forests and whatnot, because they have a nice heal, they have damage reduction, and then bind and despair, and then completely removing, like, poison and RCV down. For that reason alone, I feel like they should go into the S tier. They are just a really good sub to have. Yeah, I feel like it'd be a crime to put them in A tier, but even if you put, like, personally, if you put them in A tier, I would understand them as well. But nothing lower than A for sure, right? Halloween Koala. Why do I have her on here? Is she one of the... Yeah, actually she is in the Halloween batch. She's not bad, but she's, like, not super amazing either, so I think... Like, would you bring... I wouldn't say would you bring her over Nami, because they do 2 completely different things. Like, she does quite a few things pretty decently, but that's just the problem. She only does them decently, and she doesn't really excel. Then we have Reiju here. Gives you a full board of matching orbs. If they're colored matching orbs, but doesn't get rid of, like, block, bomb, etc. Orbs like that. So, and then she gets rid of a couple other debuffs by 3 turns. My only problem is that she only gets rid of them by 3 turns, and not 5 turns. 5 turns being kind of like the magical number, right? Because most buffs are gonna, or most debuffs are gonna hit you for 5 turns these days. So, I mean, Cerebral is really good. Shooter is not currently. So that kind of needs to be taken into account when running her. As opposed to Nami, who could be run on a Rainbow team, right? Or all of these units here. Yeah, we'll keep her in C tier. Maybe in the future she'll definitely see more use, but right now, like, I personally don't run her a lot. The Stowe Flamingo is definitely B tier. If the enemy has, delay immunity or any type of immunity, you'll get a 75% boost to your attack and your orbs simultaneously, so he can do a lot of damage by himself, and he's one of the few units in the game that can actually remove resilience on your opponent completely. It doesn't matter how many turns they have it, he'll just completely get rid of it. Which also makes him a little niche, but if you just purely need him for, like, the attack and the orb boost, he's pretty good. Would you put him on every team? Probably not, because the problem is that you might have a captain that gives a stronger orb or a stronger attack boost, and then you just have him bring in the other half of that boost. Like, let's say you're running, what's a good example? Like, maybe, Big Mom, right, versus Big Mom, and she uses her special, you'll get that 2.25 attack bonus, and then if you use this guy, he's not going to override that attack bonus, and you're only going to get a 1.75 orb boost, right? And if the enemy doesn't have a resilience, then that's kind of like a wasted ability. You know what I mean? So, but in certain scenarios where you just need a lot of damage in one special, he's definitely very good. Okiku, I love her. Or him? Her? Well, he said he's a lady at heart. So she. Okiku, double special activation, bind despair, locks your slots, which is very nice. Also gives you color affinity to quick and in. Now, since that's not Rainbow, I don't want to put her into S tier, but I feel like she's really high up in the A tier. I'm constantly bringing her along for content whenever I can fit her on the team. Definitely deserving of A tier for sure. Definitely could see an argument for the S tier, but at the very least, A tier feels good. Let's see. Otama, she's actually really good depending on the content. 7 turns of getting rid of the chain lock, as well as the chain. What is it? The chain build up, whatever it is. She reduces that by 7 turns. So they're kind of niche effects. You're not going to run into them all the time. But the fact that she destroys or removes 7 turns of it is pretty significant. So I feel like she's more niche than anything. But yeah, she's very niche actually. So because if they don't have like that chain lock debuff on you, she's pretty much not going to see any use besides for the 7 turns of paralysis. And if you're running into content with 7 turns of paralysis, of course you'll bring her. But because I don't think there are many other units in the game that actually get rid of that many turns by themselves, right? So yeah, she'll see some use, but she's definitely niche. Chopper just flat out sucks. I hate this guy. Same with this Brook. I mean, he's a slasher, free spirit, 2 very good typings, but... And he does quite a few things. The problem is he doesn't do them very well, right? You definitely want units that are more specified in the areas they cover, be it buffs or debuffs or attack ups. And a good example is this Usopp. Definitely Pirate King tier. Easily. Gets rid of the big 3 defensive abilities that the enemy is going to have. Reduces cooldowns. And delays by 2 turns. You know, so you can use this guy for a lot of content. And even if the delay is just completely ignored, getting rid of all those defensive debuffs is just so godlike. He's definitely right there with Bobbins. Instead of, getting attack down, though, he'll boost your cooldowns, by, I think it's 2 turns, so I could be wrong, it might be 1 turn. But either way, it's really good, and he gets rid of, I believe, special cooldown rewind, so if you get rewound, he can ignore it, you can use his special, and he'll turn on the specials of the units that got rewound by one turn, so he's just really good. I love this guy, one of the best in the game. This Frankie does a lot, once again, kind of like the Chopper and the Brook here, the Wano ones, but... Again, he doesn't do them very well, so I don't feel like he's that great of a unit. I never, unless I'm doing, some very specific content, I never see myself bringing him. Alvida, she's pretty good. I would probably put her in the B tier. Damage reduction, bind reduction, I believe she gets rid of enemy damage reduction as well. So I think she gives you, 80% damage reduction, then removes their damage reduction by 5 turns, then removes bind. So she kind of does a little bit of everything. And I believe she also increases the chain multiplier depending on how many dex or int units you have on the team. So that limits her a little bit. I mean, obviously bind is a very common ability that you're going to run into a lot, so she'll see use with that. The other one being damage reduction, very common too. But she's kind of restricted to using her full potential with with dex and int units. So I feel comfortable leaving her in B tier, because I wouldn't say she's better than anybody in the A tier, right? So B tier feels pretty good. Kind of the same problem here with Tashigi. Has the drawback that, she gets a nice 2.25 attack boost. But for the most part, most legends that she would support would probably have that attack boost and probably something even better than that. For the most part, right? So, where would I stick her? I don't think she's better than Alvida, so I actually do think she would go in C tier. The attack bonus is nice if you really need it, but I think for the most part you would probably have a better option. These guys right here, easy A tier, potentially S tier. Get rid of, I believe it's defense up 5 turns, paralysis 5 turns, and they double your orbs. So that's another thing I really like about them, is that they have an offensive ability and a defensive ability for you. Especially when they switch, they give you some damage reduction, and the defensive ability, when I say defensive, I mean they get rid of debuffs. So if that was confusing to you guys, I do apologize. But yeah, they get rid of 2 debuffs. Actually, they get rid of 1. They get rid of paralysis on you, and then they get rid of a buff on the enemy, but you know what I mean. I would actually say they might even go into S tier. Because they're rainbow as well. You can use them on any team that is rainbow or that is powerhouse striker, and they'll work. Because they'll boost anybody. They'll double the orbs of anybody on the team. They don't have to be a certain color, a certain type. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think S tier is pretty fair for them. I could definitely see them being A as well, but right now S is feeling pretty good. From the same batch, unfortunately, these guys are not as good. They do more damage to delayed units, but, delay is just so prevalent in the game's meta right now, and it's probably going to be like that for a long time still. I mean, they're good, though, if you can get their ability to really go off, so we'll probably put them in the extremely niche tier, I would say. Now, remember, this doesn't mean that they're bad, it's just that their specials are geared towards very specific content. That's all that means. Crocodile, definitely B tier for sure. Him being only a 2 times orb booster kind of sucks, but it's still passable. Reducing resilience, not that great, but if you are dealing with it as a debuff, it's nice to have. But he's definitely better than everybody in the C tier, so I feel like I can comfortably put him here. Buggy is really, really good. Full board of matching orbs if units driven. Special bind reduction by 5 turns, paralysis attack down by... so he's kind of like Shirahoshi, actually, except for driven units. And he's better than Shirahoshi because he gives you a full board of matching orbs. So, and with all the driven units coming out soon, you know, it's like, why wouldn't you run this guy, you know? Like, right now, he would definitely be, like, A tier. But if we have the future support in mind, he's definitely S tier, in my opinion. Like, probably around here, for sure. This Ivankov's pretty nice. I think A tier is pretty fair. Special bind reduction, defense up reduction has some very... Actually, I think he's bind in special bind, too, actually. Which is even better. Gets rid of defense up by 5 turns. Has some orb manipulation. I feel like he's definitely better than everybody in B tier, but I don't think he surpasses anybody in S. So the safe place to fall categorizes here in the A tier. This Heracles I never use, ever. I don't even think he's niche, I just think he's not that great, so we're going to stick him in the C tier. Same with this Kuma, just kind of doo-doo. This Boa's really nice. Special bind and attack down by 5 turns is always very relevant. Has orb manipulation, locks your slots. I feel like A tier is really good for her. She's definitely, yeah, I think A tier is fair. And another A tier addition will definitely be this Law. He's really good, kind of the other part of Boa as he covers the debuffs that she can't handle, as well as reducing resilience as well, and having an AoE as well, which is really nice for like forests who need to get rid of like really high defensive units, but you need fixed damage for it. And he has an AoE that can handle that. I would actually almost say he should go into the S tier, but since he doesn't give you any offensive boosts, I kind of want to leave him in the A tier. But he's like high A, like very high A for sure. And Bo would probably be like around, maybe here? Something like that, yeah. Inuru, amazing at PvP. He was kind of made to be used with Katakuri in mind, since that was the batch he came out with V3 Katakuri, the super type. I mean, he gives you full board matching orbs, he cuts your HP, he does damage. Now, if we're considering what he's used for, he would be around, like... even then B tier, because he doesn't get rid of any debuffs, and he doesn't give you any attack buff, any orb buff. So, yeah... But at the very least, he has uses, right? A full board of matching orbs is nothing to really scoff at. Although, this Reiju does that as well. Is it really fair to have her in C tier and have him in B? I don't feel like it is, but I feel like he's really high C because of that. So we'll do that for now. Yeah, because like when I pulled him, I was at first very excited, then I realized that he wasn't that great. But luckily, I PvP a lot, and he's, you know, a god in that mode, so it ended up working out. But the other half of his side of the batch, this Doflamingo, is really good. He's got... Oh man, I don't know. I think he's really high A because he gives you an affinity bonus for strength and N. So it's limited to 2 types, unlike Don Krieg and Gin here, who will give you an orb boost for everybody. Since I like having the ability to remove Special Bind, to get rid of... I think for him, it's defense up and threshold by 2 turns. But he has double special activation, so you can do it for 4 turns, as well as getting rid of, I believe, 4 turns of special bind. So he's really good, but the problem is that it's 4 turns instead of 5 turns. So I think that holds him back a little bit. So that, to me, puts him in the very high tier of A, high A, but I think it leaves him just short of the S tier. Let's see, page 1, like... You know, he gets rid of attack down, which is nice. Burn can be okay. And then I think he does one other debuff, but I think it's like sound effects or something, like something kind of irrelevant. And then he reduces cooldowns for strength and dex, I believe, by 2 turns, which is pretty nice. But like, a lot of the things that he handles, other units can do better, for the most part. The only time you'd really want to bring him is if you were running like a powerhouse team or something, or maybe a dex team. And you are being rewound and you have no way of clearing the content unless you can boost your specials up and clear the boss on that turn. I don't think he's C tier, but I think he's definitely B tier. Probably like around here. Yeah, something like that. X-Drake, really good. Mostly for mono-type decks. So we'll definitely keep him here as well. Nowhere specific. He does have a nice attack boost as well. Or is it orb boost? It's one of the two. I haven't run him in ages. But the problem is that whoever you... Actually, he should be orb boost because he came out with Kid. And Kid has a 2.5 times attack boost. So he's supposed to be used with Kid because he also triggers Kid's super type. So if you're running Kid, this guy's amazing, right? But there are other options you could use over him as well. But if you have no other choices and you're in this guy, you could definitely do worse. I don't think he's A tier material, but definitely B tier for sure. The Caesar does a lot of things, like a lot of units around here, like mostly in the B and the C tier. But just once again, he does them so poorly that I just don't even think he's really worth bringing. So yeah, we'll put him in C tier. Bonnie is a strange one. I'm very close to putting her in A tier, but she is only for quick types, so that really holds her back in terms of versatility. She gives you a 1.75 boost for quick units for one turn, and then this next turn she doubles it to 2 times. Well, not doubles it. Doubles it means she would do well over 2 times, but you know what I mean. She'll go to 2 times after that. On top of that, she gives you 5 turns of reduction for Bind and Despair, which is good. So you got utility, and you have an attack buff, which is really good. Like under my normal guidelines, she should probably be around here. Actually, maybe, yeah, I would say she's probably low A because, you know, she's offensive and defensive, like Doflamingo, but Doflamingo covers 2 colors, while she's only for quick, right? I think that definitely needs to be taken into consideration when we're ranking her up. But very good offensively, probably going to see a lot of play with, like, you know, V2 Kaido when he comes out, or any just other quick super types. So, probably somewhere around here, to be fair. Speaking of Ivankov, who's right there, this one is kind of tricky. Very similar to her in that he gives offense. Actually, I don't think he has any debuff removal, though. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he cuts your HP by like 1%, which is kind of odd. It might be for some specific unit. But he boosts your affinity for quick units. I think please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's quick and int, which makes him a lot better. If it's quick and int, I might even move him up a tier. But he boosts your affinity and I believe your attack up by 1.75 for 3 turns, which is good. But the caveat being that after those 3 turns, your attack just gets nuked for 10 turns. So you want to use him on the boss stage anyways, but anytime before that, if you need to use a boost, do not bring this guy. I think for that drawback alone, he's probably B tier, but he's kind of like in the higher B tier. Yeah, for sure. This Wano Luffy is pretty good. Paralysis, Free Spirit attack up, Free Spirit being really powerful, but definitely not like A tier worthy in my opinion. Probably like around here, I would say in the B tier. This Sabo I never use. He's definitely C tier in my opinion. Let's see. This Rebecca gives you, I believe, rainbow color affinity for 3 turns and reduces the barriers by 1 turn. But besides that, like, I don't think she does anything super amazing. I feel like she has one more effect that I'm actually overlooking, but I could be wrong. I think she should definitely go in the B tier, though, just because of her versatility with that color affinity, and 3 turns is pretty significant. I would probably bring her over Drake and, like, Alvida, so, yeah, I think over there is good. Robin, for me, is S tier. Because not only does she get rid of the big 3 debuffs, or buffs, I should say, on the enemy, being the damage reduction, the threshold reduction, and the defense up by 5 turns, she also changes everything to her orb, and she gets rid of 5 turns of despair, so she does a lot. She's either high A or low S. And I put her on so many teams that I feel like I'd be very disingenuous to put her in the A tier, so probably around here is where I would stick Robin. Let's see, Violet gives orb boost over 2 turns, 1.75 for the first turn, and then 2 times on the second turn for 2 colors. I would probably put her up here. But the two color types being Psy and Dex, like, I don't feel like they're used all that much right now. Maybe outside of like a Stampede Luffy team, maybe. I mean, you're not running it on versus Kaido because I mean you could if you just want to boost one of the two colors. But I feel like you get the most use out of her if you were running both nothing but Dex and nothing but Psi units. So I feel like B tier is fair for her. I love this Nami. Double special activation. Gets rid of a lot of debuffs. Gives you color affinity. Definitely high A, for sure. Actually, I might even say S tier, but... yeah, because she gives that color affinity... Well, once again, she's kind of like Doflamingo in that sense. Where she gives color affinity to Strength and Psi. So, I think them being around the same level is pretty good. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Capone is very niche. He's good in the right situations, but you're not going to bring him all the time. Hancock is kind of a B tier unit. Bind, Resilience by 5 turns. She's good if you don't want to shuffle orbs, and if you just want to make, I think it's Dex, Strength, and Quick all matching, so you don't trigger the enemy's cut-in. But, like, besides that, I think you're going to be bringing other units over her for the most part. So she's. I don't want to put her in the niche category though because she does get rid of bind. Or no, is it despair? Now I don't even remember. Great. I think it's bind though. Where would I rank her? I feel like she's kind of like in a lower, like the lower B tier. Buggy from the same batch is a lot better though. Driven shooter, special bind down, defense up down. Manipulates your orbs, and driven units again getting such a boost really benefit from a unit like this for sure. So I actually think he's an A tier unit. I could argue him being a high B, since I feel like he could have done one or two more things and added that to his kit. Yeah, Buggy, you know what? We're gonna stick him in the very high B for now. King is very good, very very good. 2 turns, a boost to Powerhouse cooldowns. I think it's just Powerhouse. I could be wrong. Then Burn by 5, Special Bind by 5, and I believe Sound Effects by 5. And he also manipulates orbs. He's definitely high A. Is he S? He would be S in my book if he had some type of offensive boost. Like, maybe he had a 2 times orb boost. But if he had that too, he would be like all the way at the top of S. So... I feel pretty safe putting King there in the A tier. Let's see. Who do I want to do next? Leo. Very niche. I don't really use him a lot. But if you need to get rid of like those very specific debuffs that he handles, you're going to bring him. Neptune is pretty good. I would definitely rank him probably in the very high B as well. I mean, you really can't shrug off the color affinity that he does give, as well as... the debuffs that he does remove. And I believe he's also over 3 turns, just like, what was it? Rebecca. But I prefer using him over Rebecca, so that's why he's higher up on the list. Queen is very good as well, being offensive and defensive. Removing, damage reduction and defense up by 5 turns, and then locking the chain multiplied by 3 turns. Definitely deserving of the A tier in my opinion. I would probably stick him... probably around here in terms of usefulness. But yeah, if you need to get rid of debuffs and at the same time pump up your damage, definitely bring Queen. And he doesn't care what team he's on. He could be on any team. He could be on any team. He's Rainbow for his effects. He would be higher if he got rid of like 1 more debuff. It could be like Paralysis or Bind or something, but given that he only gets rid of 2, I think it's fair to keep him there. Jack is kind of in the same boat. Gets rid of 5 turns of bind and 5 turns of attack down. Does some damage, but on top of that, he doubles your orbs as well, your orb boost by 2 times for the turn, which makes him a little reminiscent of like Krieg and Gin because he also is Rainbow. You can use him for any team that he can fit onto. So I would actually kind of make him nearly equal to Queen in this category here. Inurashi is meant to be used with Nico. I never use them. They're not bad by any means, but they're kind of meant to go off of delay immunity to get their extra buff, their extra attack buff off, which sucks because delay immunity is very common in the game, so they rarely get a chance to shine. Rayleigh's very good, very very good. Where would I stick him? I mean, I would probably stick him around... Probably around here with Queen and Jack, kind of making them all, like, equal-ish. I know he gets rid of... I think it's defense up and damage reduction. I don't think he gets rid of threshold. He gets rid of... I think he gets rid of despair. I could be wrong. But he definitely gives you a color affinity bonus. I think it's strength and psi, very similar to Whole Cake Island Nami. I'd actually have to look again because I haven't used him in a while. But like when Roger and Odin came out, I was just spamming this guy, and he was helping me clear so much content. Very useful, very good rare recruit in general. And then finally Crocus. He has a very good support ability, even if it is a bit niche. But if you find yourself needing to get rid of those certain effects, he's pretty good. I don't even know if his special in general, though, would be niche. So, to be safe, I would probably just stick him in the C tier. Man, most of that batch wasn't that great, was it? I mean, it had Roger and Odin, though, so you can kind of forgive that. But either way, guys, this is kind of how I have these guys ranked up for now. Next month, I'll do another tier list depending on how many more rare recruits we get added to the main batch. Alongside the legend tier list, we're going to update that as well and kind of just go from there. We're going to use this page as a template to improve upon, where we might move units up, move them down. They may stay static and stationary. And if you have any requests, any ideas of units that should be lower or higher, please just leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think. Give me a little bit of an argument, right, as to why you think that unit should go higher or lower, and I can, adjust the tier list in the next video whenever it comes out next month. Probably exactly in a month from now, I would say would be fair. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching this long. If you liked the video, please like. If you disliked it, dislike it. Until next time, I will catch you all later. Have a good night.